Hello, this is Maron and Alex, and this is the first episode, or I guess episode 0 of the Cynic Clinic, where we just bitch about random things and then we bitch some more. And today's topic is stupid shit in sports. What we think is dumb about sports itself, the rules, anything around them, and basically anything else. So, Alex, how you doing?
Doing good, Mayron.
All right, well, let's get this started. So we have a list of different sports. I think there's football, baseball, basketball, soccer. Um, where again, some of the sports that we're somewhat familiar with, and basically we want to list out some of the stuff that's just incredibly stupid about these sports. Okay, so the first one for football is the definition of a catch. That shit is stupid.
Yeah, it's
Right?
real dumb.
So many freaking games have been lost because people can't understand what the hell a catch is, right? Um, a good one is that Steelers game versus the Patriots, where the tight end actually catches the damn ball, drops in the end zone, the ball moves as he hits the ground, and suddenly that's a fumble, right? Was it a fumble? I think it was like a uh touchback, right, or something like that. Just
Yeah,
because,
yeah. Well, because it was a fumble and they
yeah.
ruled it, so therefore it became a touchback instead of what it probably was as a touchdown. But oh well.
I swear to God, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And
and
stuff like Calvin Johnson, one of the best receivers ever to play the game, like having literal amazing circus sketches being taken away because somehow that's exactly what happened.
oh, it's not a catch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, the one hander, it's
Right,
like
exactly.
stupid stuff.
Stuff that OBJ can do, and he gets called the catch now, and Calvin Johnson was doing that for years.
I don't get, like, why can't they just make the fucking rules simple, right? Like, hey, um you have the ball in hand, and if you want to do the football moves or whatever, like, did you take the 2 to 3 steps that are required, and after that, that's it. Like, I don't care if the ball is moving in your hands while that's happening. I don't give a shit, like, as long as the ball is not on the ground, right? Or like, oh, yeah, I don't like, do you have the ball in hand? Did you take the steps? If yes, then if you drop it, it's a fumble. If no, when you drop it, then it's just an incompletion, right? And yeah, and if there's a defender on you, then it's like, okay, as the defender's taking you down, is the ball in your hands? If yes, then catch. Like, I don't understand why it's so complicated.
Right, yeah. And again, I mean, there's things like sideline catches where all that matters is that you have 2 feet in bounds. Like, literally all the rest, I mean, yes, technically you have to have, like, possession in your hands, but you're looking at literally his feet. He has 2 feet down. There's no football moves. So if that's allowed, then why the hell do you need that in the middle of the field where, oh, you need a football move?
Yeah,
So, again, I mean,
but
yeah.
there's some stupid things, like, it's not only football move, but it's like, yeah, like, okay, he's the tight end for the Steelers. Like, what the hell was that? I'm a Patriots fan, and even I was like, okay,
Right.
that should have been a touchdown. Like,
Yeah.
we robbed the Steelers there because
Because,
Juju breaks out for like a 90-yard pass. It's so stupid. That defense of ours, like, really shot the bed. But anyway, and yeah, like, the tight end catches it, and then it moves after he falls forward into the end zone. Like, the ball clearly crossed the plane,
right.
and then,
They're like, well,
oh,
he somehow
it's
lost
a drop.
possession.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I mean, that's I think that's one of the dumbest things in football. I honestly do.
And, I mean, pros for this. I mean, this one's a hard one to like come up with any like positive things for it. Yes, they've made changes over time to try to deal with some of these things. They have, like, it used to be where they didn't even have the football move or anything like that. They didn't even talk about how they made the rulings for when people made catches. That's It was so vague that they literally were like, well, even we can't understand what we're doing. So I mean, so much of this has been terrible, and they have been trying to better define how they're doing it nowadays. But I mean, that's not enough.
Just simplify it. Like, I don't think, why does there need to be like a million things, like, well, it's kind of like moving a little bit in your hand or something like that. Just be like, hey, does he meet the 2 criteria or the 3 criteria? It's like, is the ball in his hands? Yes. Okay. is that
Does
you
he have
take
like
the
2 feet?
steps.
2 feet down.
Oh yeah,
I
and
mean, you don't even
like
have to
2 feet on
go.
the
Yeah,
ground.
no football moves. Screw the football moves. If you have the sideline catch, yeah, just 2 feet.
Yeah,
Boom.
that works too, right? Like, why the hell
Ball
do
in
you need?
hands, 2 feet. That's a catch.
Well, I think I think there's got to be at least like a couple of stuff, just because like, what if like ball in hand, and then at the exact same time a defender just like hits the ball out of your hands? Like, is that a fumble then?
Ooh, yeah, that does get a little shaky, but I don't know, man. Again, they count it as a catch on sideline catches, so it would get shaky there. They might have to add like something like a step, maybe, especially in the end zone, where if they do that, maybe it's counted as a fumble. Like, I mean, it sucks. That sort of creates a similar issue as what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But that would make it almost near impossible for defenders to deal with if they. I mean, all it would take is the guy catching it with their hands.
Yeah, yeah, but
and having feet down.
either way, like right now, it's really stupid. Something's got to go, man. Like, cause I'm tired of waiting for like 5, 6, 7 minutes of them reviewing the damn thing. Is it a catch? Is it not? Is it gonna screw over everybody? Yeah,
Right.
well, yeah, there you go. What's next?
Okay, so our next thing is okay. Right, not calling TDs and turnovers when it's reviewable. So yeah, so one of the issues that we've seen, and it's funny too because they talk about this all the time for the NFL, how they've changed the rules for this, but now you have to let the play out. They talk about that all the time, but yet
Right.
they, as refs, will not let some plays play out.
Like, especially the turnovers, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, I mean, it can literally cost teams games, not only because of the turnovers or whatever that they might not be calling correctly or anything like that, but literally, if they let a play out like they're supposedly supposed to and not calling it dead, I mean, you're literally costing teams potentially a touchdown, any kind of scoring position, or any number of things that they might have had if it wasn't called dead. I mean, they literally could lose that turnover because they blew it dead, and instead of one of their players picking it up, the other team has possession still.
Yep, yep. Again, it all my Patriot memories come through, right? Like the game, I think it was 2 years ago now in the playoffs. Was it the playoffs? Yeah, where no, it wasn't the playoffs,
It
but
was, but it was to determine
yeah, yeah,
seedings.
seeding exactly. It
Yeah.
was Patriots against the Chiefs, and Stephon Gilmore rips the ball out of Kelsey's hand, picks up the damn ball, and he's running towards the end zone. Now, would he make it to the end zone is, debatable, because you never know, but then the refs just blew it dead, right?
Right.
And you had to freaking make a challenge just to see, like, yeah, in fact, that is in fact a turnover. Like, why not just freaking let the play happen, and then turnovers are reviewed anyway. So if it wasn't a fucking turnover, then all you do is like, oh no, never mind. Kelsey goes down or whatever, and move on.
Right.
But yeah, and same thing with the touchdowns, right? Like, why are you calling something not a touchdown if it's even remotely
Close. Like, if it's
close?
close, just call it. And then you literally have to review touchdowns, which it makes it so it doesn't force a team to have to use a challenge, which they might not even have. Because guess what? You just used one of your or both your challenges, and now you don't have any challenges. So now it's not reviewable, and now you're screwed because you did have a touchdown after they look at actual replay on the screen and everyone can see it, but because they can't review it and refs don't review things obviously that aren't in certain conditions, like it wasn't called a touchdown? No? Oh,
Yeah.
well, they don't force a review. So that just screws your
Yeah,
team.
yeah, exactly. So if you don't have a challenge, then you're kind of screwed. I mean, it's just one of those things where it seems like it's an easy solution. Just let the damn play out if it's a turnover or a touchdown, and then just look at the review and see if it actually was. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, why? It doesn't make a difference if you just call it and then review, but it makes the world a difference if you don't call it and then suddenly it was, and like maybe the team did a hurry up um snap the ball just so that it's not reviewable, or they couldn't challenge in time, or whatever it might be, right?
Right.
Like, which is also freaking stupid. Like, oh, the snap happened, so this man was just punching the other one in the face. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, guys, we'll save a lot of the solutions for later. We'll get into that, but
No, I mean,
we can talk
we
about it
can just
now.
talk about it. That's what I'm saying. Like, the solution seems pretty easy, right? Like,
Yeah.
just call the fucking calls.
Yeah,
or
just let the play out.
Yeah, let the play go.
Because if you let it play out, then you call whatever you see at the end of the actual play playing out and being done. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I would say, like the only pro to not letting some plays play out is when you have like, look, a guy is being stuffed at the line. There's 8 guys on him, and it turns into this pushing match of O line, and then it
Yeah.
could
But
potentially
then it's
lead
like
to
the
an
forward
injury.
progression
Right,
thing,
and it
so
could
that's-
lead to an injury to your running back or
Yeah.
something, because you've got these huge men on you, and all it
from
takes
both
is somebody,
sides, right?
yeah,
Because
and
your
all it
team
takes
is
is
pushing you.
too many dudes falling on you and in the wrong places, and it's bad news. So I get it. Sometimes there has to be a reasonable time you need to stop a play. You're not gonna let something like a pushing match go on for like 30 seconds.
Right, but this is more like
This is
it's actually a touch. It could be a touchdown,
Right,
not
exactly.
like, oh, the
This isn't
play
a
is
pushing
going on
match.
for too long.
Yeah, this isn't like a situation where you're increasing the risk of injury.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
So the next thing is
Oh, this is Alex's
yeah,
favorite.
this is my favorite. Okay, this is more pro football more than anything else, because college football, it's understandable. Some of them are such huge mismatches that your running back is so big it doesn't matter. But it's the pitch play. So the pitch play, I hate this play. It's not a rule based thing. It's just the fact that offensive coordinators actually think that a pitch play makes sense. Like it's crazy to me, because you look at, like, okay, I have to say it. I'm a Falcons fan. It kills me when I remember, of course, the Super Bowl. But
I love it.
Of course,
28-3
with the Patriots.
There you go.
Tom Brady is the goat. That's just how it is. But yeah, no joke. Every time I see the pitch play done, and sadly, too many times by the Falcons, it works to get more than 4 yards, maybe 1 out of 20 damn times I see it done. And you see it from other teams that even try it, and sometimes even really good teams. Patriots, I've seen them sometimes do the pitch play. It's very rare for them.
Yeah.
And it's
they're
more like a
the
change of
check
pace
down.
kind of thing.
Yeah, they're more like play
instead of
option.
using it as a literal good play. They're literally just using it to stretch the field, change it up. Yeah, so this isn't a change of pace thing for a number of teams that I see in the league. And it's mind-boggling when you have somebody like, let's say, Dalvin Cook or any of these like superstar players, running backs, that you can see they can run up the middle fine. They get 4-6 yards sometimes, and sometimes they might get stuffed by a good run defense, 2-3 yards. But then you do that same pitch play and they get negative yards against a good defense.
Yeah, those are always fun, especially when you're playing fantasy, right? It's like, oh, look at that, I just lost points.
Right, exactly. Yeah, God, you're like, oh, thanks for the negatives, guys. But yeah, I mean, look, it just doesn't make sense in pro football to use this play. And the solution really is just stop doing it.
Wait, so I mean, I haven't really been paying too much attention to this, but like, is this just a Falcon thing that they do a lot and they're failing, or is this just failing like across the
I've
board?
seen other teams do it, and it fails pretty much universally. There will be times where a defense treats, or at least the offense treats, the pitch similar to a screenplay. So they'll have the defenders in a good position, and all they have to do is block the 2 guys that are in front, and then all they have to do is make sure that either a linebacker's not actually there to catch the running back right after those guys get blocked, or that there's no linebacker there. Then it can turn into a big play. You could get like 10, 15 yards. It rarely does it do anything more than that, because cornerbacks and safeties come into play at that point.
So then, what exactly is your suggestion to changing it? Just stop.
Just stop doing it. I mean, look, a 1 in 20 chance. Like, if you're going to, like, let's say like a game show, like The Price is Right, you're not fucking making a 1 in 20 chance. That's not going to be the thing that you make happen. You're going to be like, if I have a even let's say 1 in 3 chance, I'll get the same or more amount of yards doing a run up the middle versus a 1 in 20 chance I get the same amount, maybe more than that play.
Mm. Well, yeah,
I mean, if I'm a
I
coach,
guess it
I'm
really,
taking the 1 in 3 because look, you get 3 plays usually most set of downs
yeah.
before you have to think, well, I guess it's punt or go for it on fourth down kind of
Yeah,
time.
nowadays everything is go for it on
You're
fourth
right,
down, man.
yeah.
I'm like, damn it. But okay,
Which
so what? Like
makes
just
it
reserve
crazy.
it as like a 1 or 2 off per game instead of like every other drive or
Right,
something?
exactly. I mean, look, if you're not using it in a like scenario where it's like a change of pace play or trying to extend the
Yeah,
field, or you're
yeah.
gonna use it to like attack the like long weak side or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like if you do a pitch to the weak side of the defense, sometimes that works because all you have to do then is beat a one-on-one between the running back and maybe a corner, and then that could happen. But the types of pitch plays that I see in the NFL are like college pitch plays where they have these setup blocks that the defense reads easily, and it's a joke most of the
Yeah,
time.
it's basically like, oh, that's what's coming, guys.
Right, exactly.
Just go.
Nobody's
Yeah,
fooled.
just run to the side, like
Exactly.
yeah.
And then it just comes down to, is your running back such a beast that it can break multiple tackles and your guys block? And that's crazy to think that every time your running back's always going to be a beast and always your guys are going to block.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I guess so. Devontae Freeman was like a pretty beastly that year though, right? Like those couple of years where
oh yeah, yeah.
the Falcons made it to the Super Bowl, and then I think the year
Oh
before that,
yeah,
like as
for
soon as
sure.
Coleman went down, I remember like Freeman terrorizing all fantasy.
Yeah, that's true. He definitely was, but it wasn't mostly on the pitch plays.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. All right. So, next thing would be okay. So this might be a little triggering to people, and frankly, I don't care. But I hate kickers. I really do. Like, uh, I know, it adds another dimension to the game, and it's like, but it's sometimes it's just okay. Let me put it this way: like the defense is already getting shafted because of so many rules that make it really difficult to defend, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you even like scratch the quarterback's helmet, it's a
it's
15
15
yard
yards. Yeah.
penalty, or oh you blocked him or you were holding even though the guy was like I don't know if it was just a bad angle or something like that. Where and it's like, oh, that's another 5 yards, first down. So basically, they get shafted a lot. The PI, nobody understand. Like, not many people understand what an actual PI is. But and then the fucking kickers, man. It's like a punishment to the defense for being good, right? Let's say the special teams, like a punt returner, gets it to their you know 35, 40 yard, and then the offense gets an extra 15 yards before the defense just stops them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh, and if you guys have been to a football field, like it's a lot different than it is on TV. Like 10 yards is nothing.
Yeah.
It's really nothing. Like I can't believe that these defenses can actually hold people back with 3 attempts to get 10 yards.
Oh,
Like
right.
it's
Especially
crazy.
with some of these guys. I mean, look, their strides they're taking are like at least a
Yeah, I
yard
mean
a
these
stride. I
guys are
mean,
like
these are
super
insane.
freaky athletic,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
so anyway, so the defense does its job, and then their reward is like, oh, here comes a kicker, and you guys still gave up points,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like like a 50 yarder nowadays is really not that tough for the kickers. Like most of them in the NFL can make it more often than not,
You're right.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. It just feels kind of it feels it's stupid. It really is, man. Like this recent Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Bucks, like it sucks that it wasn't actually like that defense played so well. They deserve the zero, right? Like they deserve
Oh
the
yeah.
the
I mean,
fact that
how
there's
well
like
they were playing.
yeah
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, but all they have to do is give up like 10, 20 yards at times, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean Harrison Butker is like one of the best kickers in the
oh
league. So
yeah.
it's
I
like, oh,
mean,
60
60
yarder, yeah,
yarder.
no
Yeah,
problem.
no
Like
big deal.
I do this every day, right? Like
Yeah.
I do 80, probably not, but you know what I mean. So so yeah, like I think it's pretty stupid. Like that dimension of the game, I get it, but at the same time, it comes at an expense of like, oh, good job at stopping the offense, and sucks. Here's 3 points, right? So
Yeah, and this doesn't even go into things like extra points that could be ugly nowadays. And yeah, kickers in general are.
yeah, the point after attempt.
Yeah,
It was like,
because I mean
oh,
it's
shanked it.
yeah,
Up, down by
and then
one
it's
now.
like, and then you lose by one, and you're like, wow, we lost because of that, man. Legit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess I don't mind the point after touchdown as much, just because kind of like, oh, okay, if they shanked it, then maybe next time if they run in a touchdown, then
Yeah,
they go
maybe
for
they have to
two.
go for two, and it
Yeah,
adds some strategy to the game, and
yeah,
so on and so forth. So yeah, I definitely can see, and at least gives maybe your offense and even your defense a little bit of a rest for both
hmm
sides, so the players aren't consistently thinking, look, just because you got a touchdown now, you got to go for two. There
yeah,
is no 1 point play anymore.
yeah. And then
so
yeah,
then it
it's
can still screw you, because if you're not a good 2 point play team, good luck. You're
yeah.
done. So
I honestly
it's
just think that the kickers are just it's just unnecessary. I really
yeah,
do. Like,
or at
yeah, it
least
adds more.
just do the extra point. Like if you're gonna do it, just do that. Just have them do that.
Yeah. So I just like defenses. So seeing them shafted, like it just feels like a shaft. It's like, oh, job well done, guys. Like, you only held the offense to 20 yards, but here's a kick. Like,
Right.
and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but you lose the game anyway because kick,
Yeah. Pretty
right?
much, man. Yeah.
Oh, I know Cowboy fans would know that all too well when that year against the Packers in the playoffs where Mason Crosby makes like 2 50-yard freaking field goals.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
And let's not even go into Bills fans where
oh
there's
no,
multiple Super Bowls
oh no,
literally determined by the field goal kicks. And
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not the biggest fan.
Right.
We can skip this one, honestly. It's
Right. This one
uh
we're not skipping.
no.
So, okay, maybe this is just personal opinion, but I think a lot of
I
you agree with this. But okay, go ahead, dude. With this. These are
Oh yeah. So this has nothing to do with the sport itself as much as the commentators. I cannot stand Chris Collinsworth.
right.
I'm sorry. When this man starts talking, I
Oh,
just every time, no matter what he's saying, is like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, every time he says either something so irrelevantly dumb or so like obvious, it's just it does nothing. It really does nothing.
no,
He's like
no.
just filling in like empty
Empty space.
airtime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
R-
Just. It's almost like he is the ambient noise of football.
Pretty
So,
much, yeah.
like,
It's like, oh,
uh,
the Browns uniform is brown. Like, yeah,
yeah.
thanks, Colin.
And the
You,
sad part is, unlike people like Joe Buck, who's also arguably terrible at his job for doing that, is that Collinsworth was a former player. Like, he should have more to say, and he does sometimes,
oh,
but it's just
I
not enough.
I feel like he's just out of date, man. Like the
Oh
type of
yeah,
football,
oh
the
yeah,
type of football he's played way back in the day is just
oh right.
it's completely different now. But I just hate him. I don't know. Like, I haven't really talked to anybody who's like, oh, I love that guy. Every time I say like, oh man, every time he talks, like, I just want to mute the TV. People are like, yeah, I can
yeah,
see that.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
there's never like, nah, what are you talking about? He's amazing, right? Like,
Right. Like I would say at best his best reaction is I just don't care. Like that's
yeah,
it. I just
yeah.
don't care who it is. It's
You
just
know,
gonna be the same old, same
you know
old.
how that
That's his best reaction.
you know how there was the world tournament soccer tournament. I think it was like 8 years ago or something like that.
Oh, the
Where
World Cup?
the World Cup, yeah,
Oh yeah,
where
because
the
NBC probably did it.
oh no. So what I'm saying
Oh.
is that they had the issue with the vuvuzas where like those stupid um trumpet thingies that make like ridiculous noise, like that the
Oh
fans
yeah,
had.
those ridiculously annoying things. Oh my.
That's what Chris Collinsworth is to me,
Sounds
right?
right.
You know how like they literally made channels with that like cancels out that frequency of the
Because it's
vuvuzela
just
so people could
so
watch.
terrible.
Because
Yeah.
all you could hear is like nonstop.
Oh
I'm like,
man.
I wish the TV had that option, like the like SAP button that also says like mute Collinsworth, right? Or just like just take his
Oh,
frequency out of the
man.
game.
Yeah, God, that definitely put the cowbell to shame on that.
Jesus.
Man. And okay, the only pro that I have to give to Chris Collinsworth is yes, he was not Witten or Booger.
Yeah, I mean, God,
That
like
Monday Night Show was one of the worst, I think, in literally the
oh
history
my
of
God,
Monday
yeah,
Night
they were
Football.
together,
Yeah,
right? They
in
were
Monday Night
together.
Football, supposedly one of the most iconic football like
Times,
broadcasts.
yeah.
It's crazy, and those two, oh man,
Dude, Jason Witten was so bad he unretired.
right?
You know how
He
crazy
came
that is?
back
It's like
into the
you
league
are,
because he knew he had no chance to do
yeah.
anything else.
He's like, you are better off getting the shit beat out of you by these grown, like giant men
Oh,
who are
yeah.
like half your age than you talking about football.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
that's-
Yeah.
It's crazy. Dude.
Ooh.
Again, Jason Witten was also and Booger to that extent is like they were just like, why? Why is
Yeah,
this
I mean,
happening? Like, please
it
stop.
felt like Disney, because we all know, like, look, ESPN is owned by Disney. Disney tends to make these interesting decisions about things. I mean, as we all know from things like Star Wars. So,
Oh my God,
yeah.
dude, we should do about Star Wars. We should talk about Star Wars.
like next time.
maybe next time,
You're
right?
Yeah, I know. Or
Oh
Disney's
my God,
insane
the amount of
decisions for
the amount
most of their stuff.
the amount of
recently.
bitching I can do about Star Wars is
Oh,
just
yeah.
nonstop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, and you know what? I'm gonna throw Tony Romo in there too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, okay, so when he first came in, I loved him because he's predicting plays, he's showing like he's explaining the formations, he's saying like this is what a quarterback is typically thinking when such happens or this happens or if the defense drops or whatever, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it gives you pretty good insight that you like if you've never played the game would never really know, but or would never really have, but then slowly but surely he started becoming more about like his opinions and like
Right, the
his-
controversy.
the
man.
controversies, man. Like every not every time I guess, but there's like oh there's a play a ref doesn't call or calls or something, and then mostly you would agree with until Romo's like looks like they got like, oh, that doesn't look like a PI or something like that. Next thing you see is like everybody's raging because like, oh, Romo said it's not a PI. It's like these refs. I know I bitched about refs at the very beginning, saying like they should let touchdowns
right,
happen.
yeah.
But like, these refs are still like professionally trained for the
Oh,
most
right,
part.
exactly.
Like,
It's one thing if he was considered like, look, the replacement refs that year was bad. Like,
like
let's
10
be
years
real.
ago?
Like,
Yeah,
that was
horrible.
pretty terrible. And if that was the situation, I would understand more. But yeah, we're not in that boat anymore.
Yeah.
So
So while I do enjoy Tommy Romo's, for the most part, yeah, like, but the
his
controversies that he
analysis,
starts,
yeah.
the analysis, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, but it's like I would love it if he just stuck to the analysis.
Right, yeah, stick to like a Joe Madden approach. Like, look, Madden did his job really well, not only as a coach, but as a commentator. And that was because he was good at exactly that. What Romo's doing now, he's really very similar to Madden, and that's what he should stick with. If he sticks with that, I think a lot of people will be more than up for it. But hey, what do I know? People love reality TV, so maybe controversy just our thing.
Yeah, that's actually true. So, yeah,
God.
goddamn, reality. Yeah, it's. I guess you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
people want to watch things burn, right? So I guess Romo kind of can.
Yeah, for
contribute to
these
that a little
guys,
bit.
I mean, solution. We're not going to be able to change anything like this, sadly. I mean,
fuck that.
I
No,
mean-
get rid of never let Jason Witten into your.
Oh
into
yeah,
the-
well
like,
for
no,
sure that's
screw that.
true. There definitely is a solution.
Yeah.
Never let Witten ever enter a broadcasting booth ever again, please. Please. At
Bring
least
him-
not about football. If he has something else he's good at, let him do that.
No, I mean,
But
okay. Here's the thing.
Lord,
I,
man.
maybe it's just like him commentating is not his thing.
Right,
So
exactly.
bring him in as an analyst for like one of those daily shows or whatever that you
Right.
have, right? Like
You know, maybe talk about other tight ends. He is literally, and he
he's
has been, a
legendary.
great tight end
Yeah,
in his
he's
career.
a legend,
Yeah,
man.
if
Like
he wants to
Iron
talk
Man.
about tight ends, fine. But
He's only
we've
missed like 2 or 3 games in his career,
right,
something
yeah,
stupid.
it's
Like it's
crazy.
actually crazy how So
Yeah, so as a player, like I definitely respect him, but yeah,
yeah,
like he needs to stick to just tight end stuff because I
yeah.
mean, yeah, sadly, he has proven that he just doesn't know the rest of football.
It's like for God's sake, vet your commentators a
Right.
little more, please.
Please, you
You
can't
know,
just be like, "Oh, you played for a while, you must know all of football." No,
you know what it reminds
that's
me
not
of?
how that
It's like
works.
that the movie Dodgeball, where Jason Bateman character, like he was just starting off and
Yeah.
he's like the commentator where he just says like dumb things like,
Right.
"Oh,
Let's see how that works out for him,
they don't."
Cotton.
It's like they don't have any. It's like they have no balls left. It's like they got no balls. Or it's like, oh, I'm hearing that they're gonna forfeit. And it's like that's an interesting strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it
See how
works out.
works.
Like, I feel like that's what I listen
Yeah,
to
with
with
Witten.
Jason Bateman.
Unfortunately, there's no actual comedic timing because obviously he's not actually trying to be funny when he's doing it. So,
Right, it's just
yeah,
awkward.
yeah,
So yeah, no, that's my solution. Screw you. Like, just stop. Like, bring
yeah.
in.
Maybe get some better commentators. That's
Yeah,
true. That's one way
yeah.
you can make it happen. And hey, it doesn't always have to be a player or a coach. Guess what? Some of the most iconic guys, like Monday Night Football, was not a player or a coach. That started Monday Night Football with great commentating. It was legitimate broadcasters.
Yeah,
So sorry, man.
gone are those days,
Yeah,
man. Like,
yeah.
but
Well, unfortunately, our broadcasters are Joe Buck, so that's,
Joe Buck.
it does kind of hurt when that's your other broadcasting option.
Okay, so
All right.
you got anything else for football, man?
Nah, I think
Anything
that's
else on
more
the
than
list?
enough.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be our biggest section anyway. Cause,
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
but
We
the-
both know a lot more about football than probably most of the other sports,
Oh,
regardless.
for sure. Yeah. So I guess we can just move on to basketball.
Okay, so neither of us are big time basketball fans, but you know we've played some fantasy basketball recently.
Yeah.
And,
So clearly I'm a pro.
right. And we've seen some things with basketball, but there's some that even noobs like us for basketball have noticed. What is going on? What is this? And the first thing is using penalties to win. It just seems dumb.
Yeah. So again, and I know there could be people that are like, oh, they've played in the past and they understand it. And again, it's always goes down to the whole like, well, it adds another dimension to the game kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like,
Strategy.
yeah, but as like a complete outsider or casual watcher, if that, I just don't understand the penalties thing. Like, how is it allowed to? How are you allowed to use penalties to your advantage, right? Like the whole concept. Like maybe just don't call them penalties and call them like, oh, you made them look like a bitch. Like it's silly to me. It's like, oh, I faked him into vertically jumping, so now I'm going to fly into him at full force and then like move the ball towards the basket, and that's a foul on him.
I
Like,
know, man.
like
It's
what the?
insane. Yeah,
But
drawing
he
fouls
didn't
is
actually.
crazy to
He
me.
didn't actually. You know,
Yeah,
it
that
would
wasn't
be.
the. Yeah, it wasn't the intent. It wasn't the intent behind making these penalties. It
Could
wasn't to force
it,
other dudes into a penalty.
yeah, pretty much. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if you know, like I'm driving a car and you know how the whole pedestrian always gets the right of way.
Right.
Like, could you imagine if I'm driving my car, I stop in front of a stoplight, and then a pedestrian body slams my
Right.
car, and then I get the ticket. I get a ticket by a cop being like, "Oh, you hit the pedestrian."
Yeah, and
I'm
then
like, what the
somehow you have to file something for your insurance to somehow cover this dude's supposed injuries where
Right,
he's
right.
getting up
So
like
basically,
my neck and yeah.
oh man, don't even get me started over there. Every time they're so confused. Every time
Right.
there's a penalty, they're so confused.
Oh, I know, man.
100% of the players that get penalties, 100% of the time, don't know why they're getting the penalties.
Right,
And you're
exactly.
like,
And
okay.
hey, you know, at least, you know, for the car example is that if you have a dash cam, you can prove it. In this, they do have instant replay. They could prove
No,
it,
but I mean,
but they still
no,
call
but-
it a penalty.
Well, I mean, it's called drawing a foul, right?
Yeah,
Like they're,
it's crazy, man.
That's actually what.
But that's exactly right.
yeah.
Like, that other person was the wrong. So in a car accident,
Yeah.
if you have a dash cam, you can prove that they were in the wrong.
Yeah.
In basketball, you do have a dash cam in literal
And
instant
they just don't
replay,
care.
but they just don't care
Yeah,
because they're like,
because it's
that's
like it's
the
part
rules.
of the game, right? But it kind of goes with the whole even at full court,
Crazy, man.
like at the very end where teams are trying to catch back up.
Right, they're doing the full
So
court press on dudes.
so they use penalties to give them the advantage,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm
because they're
gonna,
like, I'd rather take a chance on a dude trying to make his free throws
yeah,
and us getting the ball back and not lose time.
and not lose time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, so how is it? I don't understand. Like a penalty is supposed to be something that punishes you for breaking the rule of the game,
Yeah.
right? But in here, it's like, oh, I'm using a penalty. I'm giving a penalty to for my opponent, so then I can beat them, right? Like to get a strategical advantage, right?
Right.
And yeah, I guess like, oh, you can call it strategy. I don't call that strategy. I just
No,
call it
no.
like, like it's funny watching the people in like the last minute how the offense or whoever's ahead is just literally trying to run away from from others trying to tag them.
Right,
And
exactly. I mean, it's
it looks
crazy.
like
It's
some
like a
schoolyard
ridiculous,
bullshit, right?
yeah,
Where it's like,
schoolyard game of terrible tag happening.
yeah, and I just don't get that. Like, I don't understand the whole use of penalties to your advantage. It seems
Yeah, I mean, why are you even calling it a penalty at that point?
yeah.
What is it like?
So I mean, how do you stop? I get it though. Like, if otherwise there's no such thing as comebacks unless you just straight out outplay.
Right, yeah. You would have to keep hoping that, especially since a lot of teams do, like if you don't foul them, they'll just dribble around,
Yeah,
waste the clock that way. So, yeah, it does make it difficult because if they're doing that, right now your only recourse is to foul them. So, you'd have to make it like a two-way solution when it comes to that, like two-way fix. And it would basically, you would have to make sure that they couldn't just dribble around like it's nothing. Just they couldn't just pass the ball around to each and every player until the clock is almost running out,
so
and they
I
can
mean
just throw up a
that
shot.
kind of leaves a
So,
lot for to be kind of judged by the refs though, right? Like,
right.
oh, refs opinion.
Well, and the thing is too, one possible solution to that is that, hey, maybe when it's within 2 minutes, you force the shot clock. Maybe they only get 10 seconds, and it does,
Yeah.
but it would be for both sides,
I was
and it
actually
would be
thinking
fair.
that too.
Yeah, yeah, you could reduce that to 10 seconds. So the worst they can do is burn 10 seconds off the clock.
Mhm.
And they'll have to take a shot.
Yeah.
Yes, they could potentially get the rebound if it hits the rim. And
I mean,
it
that's
resets.
just playing
But yeah,
defense and
but
offense.
yeah,
so,
exactly. So that's a part of the game, though.
Yeah.
That's so you could do that, and then also for the people, because there would still be people that are like, I still want to save those 10 seconds if I'm down, and they would still foul you. So in order to stop that, hey man, maybe within those like last 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever they decide on the actual minutes,
Yeah.
that they think makes the difference between a comeback being possible and not, I guess, is that, look, man, I mean, once you start fouling people in those kinds of scenarios, two things. Either you can increase the amount of free throws that they're able to take. Hey, suddenly they get 4 free throws. Suddenly you're like, oh, wait, if they make 3, then we have to make a 3 to somehow tie what they just did because we just fouled them. Or you just make it so that shot clock, they get the free throws, and the shot clock still, that 10 seconds, still off the clock.
Oh, so it
Yeah.
just drains whatever
Exactly.
it was.
Drains the 10 seconds
like
anyways.
if they had 8 seconds left and they fouled, that means that
Exactly.
the clock gets drained
Yeah,
by 8
drains
seconds.
the clock, and it's they still get the shots. So, yeah. I mean, that's what we think would possibly help with that. But yeah, as for the drawing the foul portion of things,
I just don't get it. Again,
And-
I'm not into basketball or
Yeah.
baseball shit, but like I just don't understand. Like it makes no sense to me why you would. It's a fucking foul. You're supposed to like. I don't understand. Like, have you ever gotten a speeding ticket just to use it to your advantage? Like, I don't get it.
No,
You know what I
don't
mean?
Understand. Yeah, We're like, no idea how that would work, unless you're super rich, I guess, and then it's just a cost of doing your life, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway,
But
So that's my thoughts on it. So I
Yeah,
don't.
and a solution for that, I mean, come on, man, just don't call that. Like, it's insane. Like, the refs can see it most of the time. Like, I could maybe understand if it's like an accident, like a bad call by a ref, but this is where.
Oh, when people deliberately jump into the
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, look, if you're a ref and you see that, you shouldn't call that. That's a bunch of crap. It is. And no matter what anybody wants to say, that is not what the penalty was intended for, and it doesn't make sense to let that happen.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Anything else about basketball?
Not really, man. Like, I
Maybe.
guess if anybody else, in the comments or whatever wants to ask us about what they think might
Well,
make sense,
you
yeah,
know,
cool.
I
But
actually saw somebody commentate saying like these guys are shooting it like the game changed so much that a lot of teams now just like not really concentrating but shooting a lot more threes, right?
right.
Like basically after the Warriors had their
That
dynasty run
super
over there,
run, yeah,
um
where they had Thompson
yeah, and now
yeah.
people like
Thompson, Curry, and the other guy. It was
yeah.
like a super 3 point. Yeah.
Yeah, so Damian Lillard is another one, right? But
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
a lot of the three pointer, like they're making it with such consistency from the freaking logo that some were saying like you should extend
The
the
3 point
pointer,
line.
yeah,
Yeah. Make it a longer shot.
yeah, and make it a longer shot. Because I remember way back in the day, didn't they like change the rules for Shaq because of Shaq? Where
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Shaq was
because like nobody wanted to get in front of the man, as he was
Oh
just like
yeah, he would just dunk on people like it was nothing.
yeah.
So
So maybe it's the game can change a little bit again to
yeah, it's
because
possible. Cause yeah, I mean, if it's become to the point where these guys are so good at making threes now that
like how do you defend someone from half court, right? Like from the logo, that's kind of
yeah, that's
hard, right?
crazy,
Because you
man.
have to run up to him at the logo, at which point like your defense is starting to break as a team, right? Because like
Yeah,
there's
I
quite a
mean,
lot
you're
of space
spreading out
between.
so much, and there's
Yeah,
only 5 players. You can't.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
it wasn't intended to be that way, but
yeah, I guess. So anyway,
so I guess yeah, that one's a hard one to figure out exactly the best solution. But yeah, I guess extending it might work.
if you extend it, the percentages are going to
Oh
drop.
yeah, oh
Maybe it's
yeah,
going to
without a
cause
doubt. Yeah,
cause people to kind of
and
go in a little
maybe
more.
more strategy involved with how they're gonna do things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I do like watching those threes go in.
Oh
So
yeah,
so
I
that's
know it is impressive,
yeah.
especially when they're on a hot streak and they make like 4 or 5 or 6 threes in a row, and it's like, dang,
It's like 30% my ass,
crazy,
right?
right? Yeah.
Oh, he's a
He's a
35%,
30%,
or
right?
he makes like 6 in a row. He's like,
And you're
is
like,
he really?
huh, what? I think his percentages went up. uh, all right, well, I guess we'll move on to baseball here, and yeah, so baseball, there's a number of things. Like I definitely watch a ton of baseball myself over the years, and it's actually one of my favorite sports because I played it. But well, the first thing is the DH rule. Designated hitter, man, basically is like instead of the pitcher hitting in the game as one of your guys that hits when you're at bat, you have a designated hitter, which is a guy who literally just hits. He doesn't field. He doesn't play on defense. He just plays on offense. So the thing is, it's not that it's bad that either one of those scenarios are in place, either the pitcher is in or the DH is in. What's bad is there's one league, one side of the league that has a DH, and then the other one doesn't. The other one, they force the pitcher to hit. So it creates this incontinuity, especially when they play against each other either during the season or worse in the World Series, where this creates literal power dynamic problems with how like the league works and strategy and the rest. It literally throws everything out of whack. Like how teams do their budgeting and the rest makes a difference when it comes to that because they have to think, who am I going to have? Is this player who's great offensively, like one of the best offensive players, but he is terrible, trash defense. Like so bad that like WAR, which is one of the biggest statistics in baseball, which is wins above replacement. And this stat covers like a ton of different stats in baseball. But two of the big stats are how good are they offensively and how good are they defensively. That makes up what WAR is. So you're talking a guy who's regularly a DH in the AL might have a WAR of like 5, which is fantastic, like really good.
Mm-hmm.
But then if he's playing in the NL, where he has to play defense if he wants to play offense, his WAR goes down to like 1, which is still good because it's still above replacement. He's still giving you a positive game, 1 game by playing him over what you would if you didn't. But
that's a difference, though.
right,
That's a big difference.
you have like a team like the Yankees versus, let's say, the Phillies and NL, and in the NL he's only worth 1 more game for you, but in the Yankee side he's worth 5. I mean,
well, I don't understand why is it that like they're still they you say that they're 2 different leagues, but it's like it's still one.
Yeah, it's still
championship, right? Like
right. It's still one. Yeah, it's still one thing. But they just like football, where there's the NFC and AFC, the AL and NL are technically 2 different things, but they're not because it's still one big league.
Yeah. So who the hell gets to decide if they're going to be doing the designated hitter or not?
Well, originally I think it was an owner vote, which is, well, maybe why it's a problem. I mean, just recently we heard that like they were gonna implement potentially the DH rule this year after they tried it in the COVID year, which, surprise, surprise, they tried it in the COVID year and the Dodgers finally won, huh? Is that just coincidence? Okay, it probably like isn't why they won, but let's be real though, it helped. It definitely helped having the option to have one of the super Dodgers hitters that might not be good defensively be able to be a DH. So for sure, that definitely makes it different.
That's not their first one, right?
Oh no,
I don't
no,
know.
the Dodgers
I
are
don't know baseball
the Dodgers are like basically one of the perennial teams in baseball.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I mean, they're the like you think of like people like Jackie Robinson.
I'm still
like
waiting.
That,
I'm still waiting for the Rockies to do something, man.
Oh, I know. Yeah, they've had some years where they've had a pretty good team, but yeah, it sucks for Colorado too because of literal altitude actually affects baseball big time. Like baseballs are not like footballs where it still affects the footballs too, but unfortunately in Colorado, like because of the altitude, I mean, people are able to hit home runs like it's
nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you see some of these guys after they leave Colorado to play for another team in a different stadium, and suddenly their home runs are down by like 20 for that season, and people are like, "Oh my god, maybe he just sucks now." No, it's because he was in a hitter's ballpark before for most of his home games versus not. But yeah, the DH rule, just give it to both leagues. Stop this one or the other. People that watch baseball or even want to consider watching baseball, just like football and basketball, they want to see scoring. It's just the reality. People don't want to see, like, yes, diehard fans for these sports like defense, but new people that watch sports, they don't care that much about how good your defense is. It's just the reality, guys. Like, people want to see people scoring. And in baseball, you have a lot of not scoring. It's similar to soccer, where there's almost nothing happening sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
so taking away offense just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Because yeah, it could be like I guess that kind of goes into the next portion of this.
Yeah.
Where the pitcher and the batter have like the whole stalling tactics and techniques and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who's like, dude, you don't understand. Like this is the mind games. This is like, the pitcher and the batter. They're doing like mental war, which is all good and all, but when you're there for freaking 4 hours watching people doing nothing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, again, this is as not even a casual fan. It's just like I'd go if a bunch of people go, I'd go just to hang out,
maybe drink some beers. Or
yeah,
something.
but like when you try to actually learn the game, you're like, what's happening? Like I don't understand. Why is he just standing there for so fucking long? Right,
exactly. It's just like, isn't this long enough already, guys?
So while it could be like an amazing thing for again for those with experience, like oh I know exactly what's happening, mental games, but for me it's like this is bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this isn't something people are like, man, I really came to watch baseball to watch two guys stare at each other and then step out of the batter's box, or the pitcher just keeps staring at the batter. This is
So
definitely something.
wait, so how many times are they allowed to like step out of the box until?
Honestly, I don't even know if there's a limit, man. Like, I
Really?
legitimately don't think there's a limit. I think they can do it literally as much. I mean, of course, the umpire at one point is going to be like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" But I don't think there's a legitimate penalty. Like, I just don't think there is one. But most of them don't do it more than like a couple times. So, but it's still ridiculous.
I wonder how much that like stalls the games though.
Oh yeah, it definitely does,
If you
man.
put all of them together.
Right, exactly. You stack and stack and stack, and you're looking at, yeah, I mean, probably 30 plus minutes. Like, and look, this is a game that already goes for, on average, like 3.5 hours, and it's just stupid. It's unnecessary. And this doesn't count like all those extra inning games that go to like 5 to 6 hours. So, yeah. Well, the next one is, and I think quite a few people probably agree with this, but umpires calling balls and strikes. Look, I get it. There's people out there that will defend this and say, umps calling balls and strikes are a part of the game. It's just a tradition, and so on and so forth. And I get it. Look, I mean, I don't want like a robot calling balls and strikes, and then you don't see any movement behind the plate. Who's calling it? You just sort of see it pop up on the screen. It's a ball strike, and the players are just given some kind of signal. And if nobody's indicating what it is on the field, I get it. Yeah, that's a part of tradition. The umpire calling the ball and the strike.
So what's the problem with that anyway? It's just
But the problem is, I mean, especially after they started the box and people were able to see balls and strikes essentially on the screen, is that people can see how inconsistent all these umps are. Each ump has like a different strike zone. Nobody has the same strike zone. It's almost unilaterally, no ump has the same strike zone. So it literally can mean that you can get an umpire that has a huge strike zone, so it gives these pitchers a lot more leeway about what pitches they can pitch, which makes a big difference because then that's likely going to be a low scoring game because they're going to get
right.
pitches called strikes that should have been easily a ball, like without a doubt a ball. But yeah, nowadays it's just unnecessary ever since they started creating 3D models of the box. When it was a 2D model, it was a different story because a 2D model couldn't see things like a curveball. Like a curveball could actually go outside of that 2D box that's in front of the plate and actually still cross the plate after it went past that. So then it would have been a strike, and an ump, a good ump, could actually see that as a strike, and then that call would have been correct. But now we have literal 3D models, guys, where they see the ball crossing a three-dimensional plane of the of the home plate. So these know the difference between a ball and a strike now. So essentially, look, the solution is simple. You can still have the umpire, behind the plate, not only to call things like, to ask the first base ump to call whether the guy truly swung or not, or when guys are making slides at the plate or plays at the plate. They're still going to be necessary not only for that, but if you want to keep the tradition of those guys calling the strikes and the balls, and what I mean is like actually being like a strike or whatever they want to do, let them keep that. But instead of them actually calling it a ball or strike themselves, let them have like a Bluetooth that tells them, here's what the computer said. The computer says strike or ball. And then they can do their motion. They can do the strike motion, do the ball motion.
Okay, so I know how you said the umpires have each one of them have their own like strike zones.
Yeah.
So is there like a something official that that dictates what the strike zone is? Or is
it just if it crosses the the home plate. If the ball crosses home plate, okay, and it has to be between knee and shoulder level of the player. So that still matters. So the box would have to
Oh, so it
move based
changes.
off of
Okay, so it
the
changes.
box would still have to move based on the size of the player
Okay.
and their batting stance and so on and so forth.
And the computer just measures that automatically, I guess.
Yeah, that would be the part I'm not sure if they're able to do that now because I don't think it moves right now, but they would have to like obviously change the batter's box per player when it comes to I guess where vertically it would be. It wouldn't matter horizontally because the home plate is never going to change horizontally where you can cross that. But vertically, it would definitely have to change because it's definitely height differences between players. So that would be the only thing it would have to shift up and down. But other than that, I mean, if there wasn't an easy way to do that, yeah, you would maybe have to still stick to certain things where it, again, it would make it more complicated when it came to like low balls and I mean high or high strikes, low strikes, or low balls and high balls. So it would make it a little bit more difficult from a vertical standpoint. But if they're able to adjust for that, for sure, like it makes no sense to have those humps back there. But that would be, I would say, probably right now the only obstacle. Like I don't see anything else preventing it other than, well, umpires unions, I guess, for some reason not wanting that to be a thing. Maybe
Yeah.
they think they're going to become obsolete and so on and
I
so
mean,
forth. And
I guess potentially they could be, right?
yeah,
Potentially all refs could be just deemed
yeah.
obsolete on the field. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
But again,
'cause-
I mean, I get where people come from, where they're like, well, the tradition, and they still want to see some human interaction on the field.
yeah.
So, but again, you don't have to take that away from them when it comes to the actual, like they're on the field saying strike and ball. They can still do all of that, but
Yeah.
instead of them actually calling a strike and ball, that's where the computer just tells them like through a Bluetooth or something.
Okay. Well, for the sake of time, let's just like I'm gonna skip soccer because like
Yeah,
really the
neither
only
of us are like
yeah
big on that.
the only thing about soccer that like I used to enjoy watching it. I used to play it. It's just
Right.
but one thing that's just annoying and it's kind of also goes to the overall like it could be in multiple sports is them like faking injuries and it's
Yeah,
just
the flop.
it's to the ridiculous degree like those memes where you know one guy taps the other one in the shoulder and then that second guy starts grabbing his ear and rolling around on the
Right.
ground and you're like you're
Yeah.
just stalling the game you're pissing people off
Yeah,
and you're just
stuff like that gets.
it's just cheating. I mean,
ridiculous.
how's that not cheating? I don't understand, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just I definitely don't like it. So that's really the only thing we really have um for soccer itself. I'd say. But yeah, and you know, just to kind of wrap things off, we do have a couple of overall things that kind of
Yeah.
cover spread all the sports, and you know, being you know the I guess foodie that I am is just that I freaking hate overpriced foods in
Yeah, food
arenas.
and beer and stuff, dude.
Oh my
beer is
God,
like
beer.
$8 a beer.
Yeah,
It's like a can of
I
beer.
remember like I bought I used to live in uh in San Francisco Bay Area, so we would go to the Giants game every
Yeah.
once in a while, and you know you go and you freaking buy a beer and a hot dog, and you come
Yeah.
back and it's like, oh, that cost me $23. I'm like, what part of that was 23? Okay, granted the hot dog was pretty big, but but
Yeah, but we're not talking about
ridiculous.
like a full size like super
No,
meal.
it's just a freaking you know it's
Yeah,
$23.
this is not like a 3-course meal you're getting.
$23 I get a beer
Yeah.
for $23 I can go and buy like a case
Right?
of the
Yeah,
exact same
easy.
beer and just drink that at home.
Yeah.
So I and you know to as much as you know Falcons suck.
Yeah, this is one of their few pros.
Yeah,
out
their
there.
few pros is where the arena they changed it so
Yeah,
the
I think they're
prices
using
are,
like 1970s prices or something.
yeah
Like,
something crazy
it's
where it's
old
like
prices.
extremely
Yeah.
affordable.
Yeah, so they're using literally old prices from back in time.
Yeah, and as far as I heard, obviously until COVID, their
Yeah.
business model's actually was making money.
Yeah,
because
it
more
was.
people
Yeah,
are buying stuff.
exactly because well, yeah, they buy more there, and ironically, they end up still making plenty in concessions.
Probably
and,
spending more. Yeah,
right, and it gives some people an incentive to actually buy tickets, and that's really one of the biggest things that they need. Not only concessions revenue, but obviously ticket revenue. So it helps them when, especially since some of their tickets are it's pretty expensive. But
Yeah,
yeah, but
Jesus.
but when you take away at least that, it makes people not feel as bad. Like, oh, I went to this game and my team sucked real bad, but at least I didn't have to pay insane amounts for food. And
Yeah, still had a
yeah,
good time, you
I
know,
got to
just
have
like
a good time. We could actually have like 5 or 6 beers without being like, well, I guess there goes like my weekly budget,
I know, right?
or some people their month.
I hope not.
Yeah, that would be devastating. But
But yeah, it is kind of crazy how overpriced shit is, and it's annoying because it's just the surge pricing basically, right?
it is,
It's
man.
like
It
oh, there's a lot
is.
of people.
Yeah, they're
It's like
like,
you have
well,
no other
where else
options.
are you gonna go?
It's
If
like
you leave the stadium, your ticket might not
it's
even
like in
get you back
freaking
in.
Disney World, right? It's
Yeah,
like you can't eat anywhere else.
yeah. Good luck.
So good luck. Yeah,
Yeah,
here's our menu.
right. Do you want to miss like 45 minutes of the game? Good luck. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man.
Okay. The next one is I watch a lot of the those arguing shows or whatever, like
Yeah,
the First Take and the Undisputed and
yeah.
Jesus Undisputed, man. Like those guys are like literally the same person except for different players.
Right. They're like,
Like
which hype man am
yeah,
I?
like LeBron and Brady and both Skip and Shannon, they have the exact same points for and against each other, and it's like okay, so you guys are just hypocrites, but
Right.
it's still kind of entertaining to watch.
Right. Yeah.
But the thing is like man, every one of these shows they just concentrate on the hype players, man. That's it.
Yeah, man.
Like it's nuts. Like oh Brady this, Brady that, and again I've been a Patriots fan since I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I moved to this country, basically, you
Yeah.
know. So it's been 20 years now where I've been a Patriots fan. So you know I can't get enough of Brady talk,
Right.
and I don't care what anybody says, but for fuck's sake, there's so much more going on in the league, and even right now, it's like Dak's contract. 2 days later, Dak's contract. 2 years later, Dak's contract, and or like Brady this, Brady that,
Yeah.
LeBron this, LeBron that. It's like there's other movements happening in the
Yeah.
game. Like there's other teams that are like in basketball. Jesus, in basketball, all like until I actually started playing this fantasy
Yeah,
league,
fantasy league.
I didn't even know there were more than
Yes.
6 players in basketball. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right. We were like LeBron, Harden, um,
Curry,
Curry.
and that's because I lived again in the Bay. So
yeah, and then Joker just because you were around.
well, I'm a default.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a default Colorado
And Joker
fan,
isn't even like a hype man.
except
So
for football.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. So like Joker, geez, nobody talks about Joker.
no, which is strange.
And
like he's literally like #1 in most fantasy leagues. Like
well,
it's crazy, man.
yeah, like overall, he's having like a crazy year, but everything goes back to like, well, LeBron MVP, and like, okay, like, can we talk about anybody else?
Right.
I've never heard them have like oh, the Nuggets won over this other irrelevant team.
Right.
Let's, and I get it because people want to only. I don't know. I don't know if people only want to hear about LeBron or like the hype people, right?
Right.
It'd be nice to talk about other things like, oh, this player had a really good, day. Like, oh, they're doing pretty good, and no, it's just the hype.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, solutions are pretty much just don't do that, right? So,
Right. Exactly.
like,
yeah. Pretty much, man.
Yeah.
Like at least come up with some newer things to talk about. Like it doesn't have to be the hype guys all the time. There's a ton of other players you can talk and different moves in the league. Like big time trades that are like O linemen in football or things like that.
Yeah.
Like because guess what? People who watch football, they're like O lines make a big difference.
Yeah.
That actually helps, or even D lines. And yes, sometimes defensive ends are hyped too, but we're talking about sometimes like a defensive tackle, like for the Falcons, whatever. Grady Jarrett is somebody that's like been phenomenal, and he doesn't get talked about that much. I mean, I've known some Falcon fans that are like, "Who's that guy?" And I'm like, "He's like our biggest defensive tackle, man, and he's amazing." But yeah, it's stuff like that. Yeah, come on, you guys can talk about people like that some more. And then our final point, like overall point, penalties away from the play. Like, what?
Oh
The
yeah,
heck, man?
this is like the worst.
Makes no sense.
It ruins games, man. Like, yo, geez, like what does fuck you?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so inconsistent too, cause like again, going back to football, right? It's like, oh, the ball is flying to the right, and there's like whatever, an amazing catch or something like that. But from the left side, like a receiver got in the way of a route or whatever, the
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
or whatever they call it, and you're like, yeah, but that had nothing to do with the play. Like that literally had nothing to do with the play.
Right.
Like so,
It's like, would it have affected the
the game,
outcome?
yeah.
No.
So it seems pretty stupid to me. Like obviously, if it's like a personal foul, right? Like if you by personal foul, I mean like if they like get in a fight or punch each other.
Oh
Or
yeah,
something,
yeah. That's a
or
different
like
story
or
for
like
sure. You have to
what was
penalize
it
stuff
like
like that.
clipping? What was it? The knees, like
Yeah,
chop
chop
block.
blocks.
Yeah,
Yeah, things that are there to like purposely injure players. That's messed up, or could potentially injure.
yeah.
Them
So those,
significantly.
but like there's a hold technically, but it had literally nothing to do with anything. Like
Yeah, I mean, if that person had not been held, would it have affected the play? No. If it, then no. Why are we calling this?
yeah,
Like, I just yeah, it
yeah.
doesn't make sense, man.
So
And
yeah,
sadly, that's a thing you see in a lot of sports, almost all of them, where there's penalties that are called on things that, if it's not like a injury or disciplinary reason why they're calling it, and it doesn't affect the play, just don't call it.
yeah. Well, there you have it. Anyway, that's basically it. I don't have anything else to bitch about sport. I know, yeah, I do, but
Well, yeah, I mean, we could go on for
yeah. Uh,
plenty of time here, but
there's other things like we could have dived into some track stuff, some wrestling stuff.
oh
Basically,
yeah, yeah,
stuff I
there's a
did in
bunch
high
of other
school.
stuff, yeah, that we could
Um,
always go into.
yeah. But anyway, that's I guess we could just end it here. So, thanks for listening. This was kind of fun, actually. First episode.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
episode of the
Just
Cynic Clinic, guys.
yeah.
Yeah, and let us know in the comments whether or not you would ever want to come back to this kind of topic, and go ahead and let us know if you have anything you want to talk about when it comes to stupid shit in sports, and
Oh yeah.
whether you have any ways to fix it. Because hey, man, we can all talk shit about like what's wrong with pretty much anything, but actually coming up with solutions, that's no
Well,
joke.
I mean, I'm a
So.
cynic, not a problem solver. So
Right.
I just do my part, and you guys solve it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's anything that you guys think is stupid, or if you don't disagree, which I'm sure a lot of you will, well,
Yeah.
then let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know, guys.
All right. Well, thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.